don't care about who they catch, or more smaller communities, such as this right here. And like what we was talking about in the hallway earlier, it's more of a human factor. Because when somebody is arrested for a crime, if the community feels this is the wrong person, the community is going to make an outcry about this. Let's find the right person that committed this crime. So therefore, we don't have to worry about not only locking up the wrong person, but we don't have to worry about this crime being committed again. And for the relatively small amount of $500, every time there's any type of evidence to be tested, that should be the first thing that's done. Test the evidence. And let's find out whether or not we have the right person.
Just to add on to that, Alan and I were talking in the hallway. It seems that it's sort of a different world from downstate versus upstate, not only procedural, but how they look at a criminal investigation and look at the human side versus, or is it just another number, get it solved and then move on to the next case. But speaking of DNA, we utilize DNA in every case possible. It costs us nothing. Now, granted, it costs the state of New York something to index it, to analyze it, and index the DNA. But there's no reason why police agencies shouldn't be obtaining DNA because it costs us nothing, except a little time for the officers to collect it. So it's some of the stories that Alan was telling is just totally foreign to me, not only as a police official, but also as an educator, that they're not pursuing these avenues that would be solvability avenues in any crime, but especially if it could prove somebody's innocence.
And it's important to note too that, and the chief is absolutely correct about that, you have to, when you're testing evidence, sometimes there'll be 200 or 300 separate pieces of evidence. And if you try to make that kind of a submission to the state police crime lab in each and every case, they would literally drown in evidence. Nobody's results would be turned around in a timely fashion. So it really is up to police and prosecutors working with the crime lab to prioritize what's extremely important to test and to kind of triage the list of physical evidence and decide what do we need to see first. Based upon those results, okay, what do we need to test next? And of course to disclose all of that so that the defense, if they're not satisfied with the extent of the prosecution's testing, can then request its own testing. It's important that that occur in that way. You can't just drop tons and tons of evidence off on each and every case. We do have to triage, just as any agency has to triage and prioritize. We have to do the same thing. And really, it's important to note also that what's as important as the existence of evidence is the context in which evidence occurs. I use this example all the time with juries. A fingerprint might be important evidence. Let's say in the case of a bank robbery. Not terribly important or determinative piece of evidence if in a big public bank a suspect's fingerprint is found somewhere in the bank, on a table, on a door. If that same fingerprint, or DNA for that matter, is found on the banknote, it suddenly becomes of enormous consequence. And the need for that evidence to be tested promptly goes up tremendously. So we're going to triage that case and certainly put that banknote, for example, at the very top of our list. So it's important to realize that testing is important, but intelligent prioritization combined with full disclosure is what's important as well.
And just have everyone, did you want to weigh in on that?
Yes, I believe that the whole problem was the DNA expansion and when collection of DNA would be mandatory, whether upon arrest or upon conviction. And we included the innocence provisions in ours because we feel that it should be a total picture. So we're hoping that the Senate never passed our bill. We never resolved it in conference committee. We're hoping that when we go back in January that we'll be able to take this subject up again.
This is for the police chief. Wouldn't it be better if when someone was arrested for a serious crime, if you did